Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Omari Rush. I am the Executive Director of CultureSource and really pleased to be with you all today to introduce this, what I would call an amazing opportunity for our leaders in arts and culture leaders in Southeast Michigan. And that is this Arts Leaders as Cultural Innovators program. You may remember that about a year ago, CultureSource integrated the nationally renowned arts and culture consulting firm EMC Arts into our organization. EMC Arts had been working as a real specialty alongside leaders, helping them tackle their most complex challenges. And what's really interesting about today is that our sector is getting ever more complicated and complex, almost by the day, by the week, by the tweet. It really begs some new skills, some new mindsets, and some new ways of working. Whether things are changing in one's office culture, you're responding to rapid advances in digital technology. Certainly, there are climate impacts that are very unsettling and volatile. All of these things are creating unprecedented levels of uncertainty in our organizations that are asking for us to really rethink how we work. And one thing that we do know is that traditional ways of planning that rely on predicting the future and working very linearly just are not sufficient. And so in pulling EMC Arts into our organization, we gained some really proud capacities in being able to support you all in your adaptive journeys, in being able to make sense of all of that complexity around you. One of the ways that we're able to do that most is through a program like Arts Leaders as Cultural Innovators. You'll hear us start to call this ALACI. This leadership development program, which you'll hear more about, again, helps executive directors, artistic directors, again, make sense of that uncertainty, understand and spot tension in an organization and make it generative and productive. Also helps kind of navigate the people in your lives, the staff and board and stakeholders, in ways that feel really responsive, in ways that spark novelty and new possibility. As other people have gone through this program across the country, really, it's been done in sites throughout the US and Canada. Folks have called it an intellectual sabbatical, which I really like the way that sounds. In taking that time, I did want to call out that it is a real investment. It's an investment in the participants' time. It's an investment in that the organization that leader is representing. It's an investment that that organization makes, which is so important that our organizations get better at making investments in the professional development of its leaders. And we believe in what it will do for the participants as individuals, for their organizations, and for the sector as a whole. Today's session will allow you to gain more insights about what ALACI, Arts Leaders as Cultural Innovators, is. And we'll do that by hearing from three sets of people. One will be my colleague and our program manager for this change-making work at CultureSource, Goody. You will also hear from, who kicked us off, you'll also hear from a seasoned veteran, super pro facilitator, Liz Dreyer. You'll also hear from two other Southeast Michigan colleagues who have gone through this program before, Suma Rosen at InsideOut Literary Arts and Lori Roddy at the Neutral Zone. Notably, I literally had to beg Lori to be in the first cohort of this program, and she'll tell you what came of me kind of praying that she would do this work. So anyway, I'm so glad that you're either here with us live or tuning in after the fact to learn more about this program. I'll now turn it over to Goody to walk you through some of the technical dimensions of ALACI. Thanks again.
Great, thank you, Omari. All right, who is this program for? This is for individuals with 1 to 5 years of experience in the arts and culture field. targeted at first-time executive and artistic directors, likely most valuable for organizations with budget sizes of $500,000 or more. The program focuses on 3 dimensions of your leadership: individual, organizational, and in your community. The program elements are 3 two-day group seminars, ongoing executive coaching with experienced leadership coaches throughout the seminars, virtual learning program, and in-organization and in-community practicums to work on complex challenges. The purpose of the program is to advance and diversify adaptive leadership in the field amongst first-time executive leaders, to build the capacity to lead innovation and adapt change in the arts and culture organizations, and to strengthen the networks of adaptive leaders in the Southeastern Michigan area. The goals of the program are to provide structure for your practice, your facilitation skills, to explore complex challenges you're facing and possible adaptive responses, to design and conduct small experiments to research and test responses, to capture your learning so you can share with stakeholders. The financial commitment: each participant's organization is asked to sponsor their fellows' participation with a financial commitment of $2,000. However, applicants who are employees of CultureSource member organizations automatically receive scholarships of $1,750 towards the program's cost. The timeline you see here: January 31st is the deadline to get your applications in. February 5th, individuals will be notified of their acceptance. On February 19th, we ask individuals to notify CultureSource of acceptance. On March 14th and 15th is Seminar 1. April 23rd and 24th, Seminar 2. May 14th and 15th, Seminar 3. September through November 2024 will be phase 2, and those dates will be announced during the last seminar in the first phase. Now we're going to move on to Lori Roddy, Executive Director of the Neutral Zone, and Suma Rosen, Executive Director of InsideOut Literary Arts Project. I'm going to answer some of the questions that are on the screen. Lori, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Lori, and I serve as the ED at Neutral Zone. We are just an arts and leadership activism space for young people, high school age, in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And just a little chance to share with you my experience. Omari's not wrong. I think he had to call me a few times. And even when I was writing the application out, I was like, why am I writing this application like over my holiday break and submitting it? But like it's completely been worth it. One of the things is when I applied for the program, I was just finishing my 5th year as executive director at Neutral Zone. And Neutral Zone really is like has been my career, right? So out of grad school, I walked in as an intern and then stepped into this role. And I was at the Neutral Zone for, about 8 to 9 years before I stepped into the executive director role. And I think my idea of leadership when I started was very much tied to finances. How do I run a board? How do I do the nuts and bolts, dot the I's, cross the T's, and assume that was like great leadership. And the truth is that this program gave me the ability to build my capacity as what I understand today to be a leader. We have all, struggled with the pandemic. Had I known that the pandemic was coming, I would have signed up like instantly to make sure that I had the skills and the capacity to navigate my organization through one of the most tense and uncertain periods of time. For Neutral Zone, and most of you have had very challenging experiences. For us, that included furloughing staff, dealing with an internal crisis and conflict, losing about half of our board, transitioning almost our entire program staff, and trying to come back from that with a lot of tension. I think that, this program, I constantly found myself using the language of the training around adaptive leadership over and over again. The methods of just saying, we're going to try this, so we're going to do a small experiment. and we're going to see how it goes. That we, it's providing the language, the theory, and the tools that allow you to apply it to very different situations, and situations that constantly evolve over time. And I don't think there's another professional development experience for leadership beyond one-on-one coaching that can tailor an experience like this. So, I can't imagine having gone through the pandemic and feeling, at times like just like so tense and stressed out, but still navigating it in a way that I feel like, well, I'm not just like winging it from left field and responding to things left and right. There's actually a little bit of a process, a structure, a theory behind the work I'm doing. I'm able to affirm confidently the tensions that people are feeling, and how to like recognize and let people sit with that within a certain amount of time before I feel like they're going to fall over the edge, and how to hold that space, because we're never going to adapt or change or be the organizations that we want without some tension or the ability to help my peers and my community navigate that. And so to me, it's one of those kinds of trainings that we all need. I didn't know I needed it as much as I did. And my sense is like, as you continue to navigate your own roles, or you have staff that are not in these like super predictable spaces, this is the right training for them. And then I'll also just add, like, the peer group that we developed out of this was really rich. It is a time investment. But you build relationships. Thanks, Suma. You build relationships with folks because you're talking about real issues in a confidential space. You're playing with those ideas. You have a coach aligned with you, and you have a peer group. We continue to keep our group together even after the training. So this is the requirement, and we were all like, I can't even believe I have to give this much time. And when Liz, was like, okay, this is it. We were like, oh no, that can't be. And we actually continued to meet, I think like every few months for another year on our own, reading, sharing, talking through adaptive leadership. Probably we would still be doing it today, Suma, if the pandemic hadn't hit and we all just like did it. Like we were all in different worlds. But friendship has stayed, and we have stayed in touch with each other. We know who we can call on when we have tough issues and moments. And so that's just this really natural, awesome impact that, in addition to the capacity that I was able to build, also a very valuable community of leaders to be able to rely on in the future. Is that, Omari, is that what you were thinking I would say, or do you want me to?
Absolutely.
I don't want to take everything from Suma, because then I don't know what Suma's going to want to say.
That's it. I'm done. That's it.
Suma's like, I took a sabbatical as a result.
No. Yeah, exactly.
If you all want to know how to get a sabbatical, do ALACI.
Totally. Yeah, so I'll jump in. Thank you, Lori. So I'm Suma Rosen. I'm the executive director of InsideOut Literary Arts. We work with young people in school and after school through creative writing and poetry programming. Learn more at www.insideoutdetroit.org. I am very happy to be here. Obviously, I wouldn't say yes to come do this thing if I didn't think that the program was worthwhile. I have, even without being asked, I've been telling people how great it is for the last several years. So let me start by saying, yes, I think it's absolutely worth your time. You should definitely be thinking about it if you're here. Go through the application, do the thing, you won't regret it. It is everything that Lori said, I would completely agree with. And also I just have to say that, like, this is a perfect example of one of the main benefits that isn't even part of what all the list that they give you, is these lasting relationships with people who are doing this work alongside you in other organizations. Lori and I, deepened our relationship through this program and have stayed in touch. And it is also like an honor to be on a panel with her anywhere. So very happy about that. So the cohort is definitely a part of what makes this valuable, so definitely I have to lift that up. There's a lot of peer learning that happens and lasting relationships that I think are important for us to do our work well. But that one-on-one coaching that is customized to what you're going through, somebody who's there to be a sounding board to help you through all these weird things that you're trying to try out these, as Lori said, I wrote this down because it's perfect. You get the language theory and tools to try new things and to be adaptive in how you approach your leadership. That's just so important because you never know. You can plan for the best and then crazy things will happen. Even before the pandemic, I wanted to lift up two things that I personally went through in this program that I don't think I would have had the support and the confidence and the encouragement to try had it not been for ALACI. And one of them is in the midst of this. I mean, I think we were in like the second or third month of this thing. I made this decision. Crazy. It was crazy at the time. It's crazy when I think about it now, but I decided that I needed to restructure our staff and I wasn't exactly sure how to do that. And so I made this insane idea that everyone was going to report to me directly until I figured out exactly where they should be. And I had never seen anyone do something like that before. I remember coming into our in-person seminar and telling everyone, like, I just did something that's either brilliant or stupid. We'll find out. It's an experiment. And through doing that, I got to know each of the people on my core staff more intimately, what they were dealing with, what were their individual challenges. And then I was able to completely restructure the organization and put everybody in the right spot. And I can tell you right now that I tell people all the time, I have the best team. I have the most amazing staff. We work incredibly well together. There's amazing alignment. I don't think we would have gotten to this point if I hadn't just sort of thrown all the cards up in the air to play with it. And to have that experimental mindset and to feel like it's okay to try something, it could be horrible and then you'll fix it if it's horrible, but to learn from it and to bring that curiosity and that experimental mindset to your work, I think is incredibly impactful. And then the other thing that I carry with me to this day, and I talk about it probably every other week, is this concept. One of the concepts you'll learn about if you do this program, one of the many, I should say, there's like an embarrassment of resources, but one of them is the idea that as a leader, you're balancing between being on the dance floor where everyone is dancing and then going up to the balcony and looking at the dance floor. And just that simple construct has really helped me pull myself where I need to be. It's very easy to be like, I want to dance with people. Let's be in here and do this. But then to say like, no, actually my job is to come up here and take a look at the whole thing and to help guide people. And I believe that I serve my team. And so what are the things I need to do to be able to do that to the best of my ability? So anyway, just these frameworks, the coaching is fantastic, the cohort, the structure of the program, the combination of in-person time where you're building these relationships. You're going to learn so much, probably even more that you can process. Sometimes I have to go back to it and digest it now years later. And I do think that if we're not adaptive, we're not gonna make it. So this is like the key thing that y'all should be thinking about. And I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Suma. And I will open it up to questions. We'll start in the chat, and then if you have a question, you can raise your hand, and I'll call on you from that way too. And if there doesn't look like there's any questions, Liz, do you have any final thoughts before we send everybody off?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Can you stop sharing so that I can? Hi, everybody. I'm Liz Dreyer. I have facilitated this program a number of times, and one of them being in Michigan. So that's how I know Suma and Lori and Omari. Actually, Omari and I developed this program together through many iterations. I did want to, we just used a lot of words, a lot of jargony words. And I just wanted to take a moment to kind of unpack that a little bit. Toni Morrison says that word work is imperative because it is generative. So I know that we have done that, but I wanted to show you one particular slide. I think this is at the base of almost everything we're going to do. And we used the word adaptive number of times. And I wanted to think about both technical and adaptive work, leadership and authority, stability and adaptability, and really just go through the differences here. So as you're thinking, why do I need this as opposed to another development piece where I'm going to be a better leader and develop strategy? I just wanted to slow that down to say that when we're talking about how you how you bring an organization through various challenges, we have to think about, is the challenge clear and understood? Are there known solutions out there? Do we want to just hire experts and authorities and consultants? And is it a challenge that time, money, and resources will solve? And we are inculcated in our sector to think that if I only had more time, more money, more people, then it would solve everything. And I will say, we are usually working in scarcity mindset, and it's often true that time, money, and people will solve anything. However, there are challenges where we don't know what's going on, where we have to learn our way forward with the people that with whom we are working. And actually what we're changing is hearts, minds, values, and beliefs. That is the crux of complex and adaptive work. And one of the reasons that we ask for first-time executive directors or people who are just becoming executive directors is that it is the loneliest job there is. You can't rely on your staff to help you through that. You are leading just in front of them. So finding a cohort of people that you can call and say, I have no idea what's going on. Might you do that? Is one of those things in this program we really want to look at. And we talk about facilitation because you are leading this group of people, your board, your donors, your staff, through stuff that you are, as Suma said, looking at the patterns and saying, oh, I see this is coming. We got to change a little bit. How do we do that? So we talk about facilitating that rather than just telling people what to do, because the solutions aren't known. We use small experiments because we are learning our way forward. We're creating emergent practice. That's it. I see the questions came up, so I will stop talking because I get super excited about this stuff, and if you go through this program, you'll hear me talk a lot. So end of thought.
Liz, would you mind saying, thanks for that. Would you mind saying just one more tiny thing about the difference between, you touched on a little bit, the facilitator role versus like an expert consultant, and maybe the
Sure.
difference
Sure.
in what.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought you were going to go for leadership and authority. But yes, in facilitation, we use process facilitation very clearly, because what you're doing is helping a group of people shape thought and surface from that group of people what you want to do to move forward, to create that learning space, to experiment your way forward. And if it was cleared what you could do, you could bring in a consultant to give you a number of solutions to try something differently. And process facilitation is a set of skills and practices that we generally don't learn as leaders. Or we learn how to read a P&L, we learn how to create a board document, we learn a number of things that are known, but what we don't generally learn is how to look at a group of people who are freaking out about change and say, let's slow this down and ask the questions of what's going on here. What could we do differently? How do we slow that down and learn together differently? And that requires a whole different skill set.
Thanks, Liz.
All right. Thank you all for coming and being here with us. Please share this with your networks. You can get all of the information and a comprehensive overview of the elements of ALACI at culturesource.org/ALACI. The online application is all digital, so you'll be uploading PDFs of your application documents to the submittable form at the link culturesource.org/ALACI. Thank you again for coming. And thank you, Liz, Omari, Suma, and Lori for being with us also.
Thank you.